Good evening and welcome to the London Football Show Live. Well, what a week it's been for our London clubs. There were some great goals, some great performances and a little bit of controversy to boot. Joining me tonight, as always, is Sports Tonight TV panellist and all-round football guru, Kenny Ken. Welcome, Kenny.
Welcome, Yusuf. You're right, it's been quite an experience. We've had comebacks from 2-0 down, we've had hat-tricks, we had a performance where a team who's never defended away from home actually learned the art of defending, and we've had cup drama as well at White Hart Lane.
So we have a lot to get through in the next hour. Don't forget, if you want to get involved, you can send us a tweet. It's at LFS_live. And we may invite you to come on the show and discuss your opinion. So, Kenny, we'll begin this week, as always, by looking at the highs and lows of the week that's been. We'll start with our player of the week. So, as we said, there were some good performances across the league games and the Carling Cup games. So let's start with the player. Now, there's plenty of contenders this week, which makes a change.
Absolute contenders. We've got two stand-up performances by Yan Vertonghen. He's a player that I've criticised quite a lot because I thought that he's been very inconsistent and I don't think that he's been committed to the cause. So his performances against Sheffield United and then obviously the performance at Sunderland on a Saturday was both 9 out of 10 performances.
And he was incredibly unlucky as well to have the goal taken away from him, the John O'Shea own goal it's gone down as, and obviously the goal that never was.
I don't know. You say that referees are meant to be fitter and we pay them professionally, but for a referee to actually keep up with the play and not being able to tell that the guy's not offside is scandalous, really.
It's just lucky that it was 2-1 at the time and that goal didn't mean a bit more. So who else have we got, Ken? So Vertonghen.
We got Costa and Oscar. Yeah, Costa, the Brazilian combination, although Costa now plays for Spain. But I think their performance in the first half of the Liberty Stadium was fantastic. They really blew Swansea away. I've never seen a team so ruthless.
They were helped with the Swansea defenders, we have to say. There were a few catastrophic pieces of defending.
Yes, we had some... I felt very sad for Fabianski because playing behind that defence. It's a very kamikaze defending. But I think Swansea played the high line, which was dangerous against players like yourself, especially with Fabregas. Putting balls through for his forwards to run onto. And then we've got Cavola, who had a very good game at the Etihad.
His best game in an Arsenal shirt?
I think he had a very good game against Newcastle at the Emirates, where he was completely unplayable. But I thought, in terms of his discipline, his tracking back and his willingness to win the football match, Cavola is the name. And also we've got Ross McCormack.
We do have McCormack, a hat-trick on Wednesday night.
And yes, a very fantastic first half hat-trick, and all the goals were from distance as well.
3 very good goals.
3 very good. Well, the last one was deflection.
Still a very good goal.
It was good build-up.
Going back to Arsenal, we've got Coquelin as well.
Francis Coquelin. Yeah,
definitely his most matured performance.
Absolutely. He was driving, and there was one time when in a first half when we were actually letting Man City come in, and this is the second half when I think Cazorla lost the ball. He was going really mad and shouted at him.
And it was interesting to see when Arsenal scored and were celebrating, he was the one standing there telling them to calm down and keep their focus.
Yeah.
And I think that's good to see in such a young player.
And a player that I left out and I feel really bad about is Dwight Gale.
Dwight Gale, he's had a good month or so, really.
Especially 2 goals, especially when they were 2-0 down against Burnley. So it's a difficult one this week. Because normally, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'd like to give it to Cavola, but I can't underestimate the performances of McCormack and Vertonghen. Vertonghen, 2 sterling performances defensively,
and he was man of the match in last night's game against Sheffield United as well.
He was fantastic, and he's doing a very sterling job. And then you've got Ross McCormack. Fulham bought him for £11 million, and he's hit and miss, but he's got 10 goals already.
He has got 10 goals. Yeah. But I think the problem with him is Fulham seem to want to play him out wide, where he is an exceptionally good free kick taker and exceptionally good crosser, and they seem to be wanting to use that, but take nothing away from his goal scoring ability.
Well, he scored loads of goals when he was at Leeds United, and he was definitely worth the penny. I do think that £11 million for a Championship player, for another Championship club to spend on that player was probably a bit too much for me. But if that's the valuation, slowly living up to it. But in terms of my London Player of the Week, I will have to go with Jan Vertonghen because I've criticised him. He's annoyed me a lot with his lack of passion and lack of leadership at the back. But those two performances were just world class. Really impressed with him.
So Vertonghen gets
Jan
your vote.
Vertonghen, yes.
I do disagree. I think it should have gone to Ross McCormack, but we'll go with you. That's Kenny Ken, the Arsenal fan, giving Player of the Week to Jan Vertonghen of Spurs. It's over Santi Cazorla and Coquelin. We'll move on to Goalkeeper of the Week. Not as many contenders for Goalkeeper of the Week. Obviously, the clean sheet that Chelsea kept, but never under pressure.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about Chelsea's game against Swansea, where 5-0, but I'm looking more at their game against Anfield because I saw some world-class saves, especially the one from Lallana, where Courtois had no right to save that. He had no right to save that. Then there was a double save as well from Coutinho and first shot by, I think it was Lucas, where again he saves the first shot and then he reacts for the second shot. So in that respect, I love that performance very much. Then Lloris, even though he didn't have much to do, there was instances where he changed the balance of the game with that save in the first half against second half against Sunderland when it was delicately poised. And then obviously got Ospina. I know you're going to say, well, what did he do? But there was a 10-minute period in the first half where Man City were getting...
and at the start of the second half as well. City did come forward, but without any real penetration. Did Ospina make a save of note?
He made a save that he really should make. I mean, there was one of Jesus Navas where he cut him with his left foot and he managed to put it right. So, but in terms of organisation, organising defence, goalkeeping is not just about outstanding saves. It's about distribution, it's about commanding your area and organising defence. But Rob Green again.
I was going to get onto Rob Green.
Oh my God.
Saved QPR from an embarrassment. So even though they lost, he still had an extremely good game.
I just feel for the guy that he's putting world-class performances in, but it's all to no avail. Not so much on Saturday, because we're going to get to that anyway, but I thought Queen's Park Rangers played very well. I really thought they were very, very well.
And he made some great saves off Falcao, especially. Yeah. Falcao could have had on another day, that would have been a hat-trick for Falcao.
Exactly, and he commanded his area. So, but I really do believe that Thibaut Courtois was the difference between Liverpool taking the lead in the second leg and Chelsea coming.
Before you make your decision, let's get on. Let's go a little bit further down the leagues and a little mention for David Button of Brentford.
Yes, I thought he made a very good, some good saves against Brighton, where they had a bit of a renaissance with under Chris Hughton.
And he's starting to prove himself as a bit of a goalkeeper. He got our Goalkeeper of the Week a couple of weeks ago.
He did.
And he's had another cracking game against in-form Brighton.
He did, definitely. You can't discount that because there were some very good performances. I know in some cases there were some performances that I wasn't happy with, but really and truly, it's a shame for players like Button and players like they play with Lloris and Robbie Green, but Courtois' performance was unbelievable. He had a broken finger. He didn't play for a few games, and he managed to produce a save, especially the save from Lallana. Goalkeepers don't save that. I don't know how he had the time and just stretch and put that wide.
It was a great save. So is that who you're going for? That's Goalkeeper.
Not just for that save, but the double save before that, the save from Gerrard, which is regulation, but all-round performance, one of the best goalkeeper performances I've seen for quite a while.
Courtois, Goalkeeper of the Week. Well done. We'll get on to Goal of the Week. A few contenders here. Well, obviously, I'm going to start with a certain Mr. McCormack.
Second goal, definitely.
First goal as well? A contender?
Both of them, yes.
Both very good goals.
Yes.
I'm talking 20-yarders.
20-yarders. The third one took a deflection.
Both unstoppable, though. If we talk about the first two, we'll leave out the third.
Yeah, both very unstoppable. I think with two, I like the way is that he looked up and he picked his spot, and that shows a player who's got a lot of class. It wasn't a hit and hope shot. It was like, right, I'm gonna sort of aim for the corner of the net, and he picked out perfectly for those two goals, the first two goals. However, there are other contenders. There are.
There's a free kick that Watford had.
Oh, absolutely. That Tozer used to make it 5-0. Obviously, it didn't change the balance of the game, but in terms of like skill and technique, I was very impressed with that. And obviously, we've got the situation in the Swansea-Chelsea game where Oscar and Costa scored goals. I think you got to have a special mention for Oscar's first goal because it was like opportunism at its best. It was a mistake, like 60 seconds, you know.
Come very early in the game. It was under a minute, I believe it was. Real shell shock for Swansea and good finish as well.
Yeah, and you look at the team goal, where basically obviously Chelsea were in the ascendancy, but again Fabregas was involved again. I mean, how many assists can a player make? It's not even we're halfway through the season. The guy
15 assists.
15 assists already. I mean, I don't recognise this player because at Arsenal he created a lot of chances, but when you've got a clinical striker like Oscar, clinical midfielder like Oscar, and you've got Costa scoring goals, he's unbelievable.
And then there was Chris Dagnall's goal for Leyton Orient, which saved a point for them.
We saved the points there, where basically he managed to, like I said, go through the defence and cut in and shoot from an angle into the left foot. But I like Mooney's goal better because it was an early goal. He took the Preston defence by surprise, but it was like a very individual goal where he's managed to go cutting from the midfield, go into the last third of the box, and basically curved the shot with the outside of his foot. So that's
what does it come down to then, Kenny? Who are you going to go for?
I have to. It's between Oscar, his first goal in terms of opportunities, and Mooney's goal, and Mooney's first goal for Leyton Orient. So I am going to go for, in terms of individualism, I have to go for Mooney.
Mooney.
Absolutely.
Mooney. No, Mr. McCormack. You're overlooking him for this as well.
I haven't looked at McCormack because I think he changed the game. But in terms of like individual skill, McCormack's is up there. But I like, in terms of concepts of the game, where Leyton Orient were, and to produce that moment of individualism.
So that's Mooney goal of the week. We'll get on to the team of the week now, and quite a few contenders.
Well, you have to go Fulham. I mean, Fulham have won 2 games in a row. Like I said, they won at Reading, against Reading, where they scored a last-minute goal by Brian Ruiz. The Nottingham Forest result, where they went 3-0 up. You know, like I said, obviously they were second half. I think they a bit kamikaze. You know, to let, you know, it's 3-1. And then you've got the Watford's performance, where they actually obliterated Charlton. Leyton Orient played well against Preston, who were high up the table. And then you've got Crystal Palace, 2-0 down against their rivals. Remarkably, get it 3-2. I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable. Then
so surely it's got to be Crystal Palace
because you've got
of
Arsenal.
That turnaround.
It's
great
like,
performance from Arsenal.
It's a talking point of the week. Everyone thought that Man City would obliterate Arsenal. Arsenal played a very disciplined performance and accepted the fact they can actually win the game by having less possession.
So who's it going to be, Kenny? Who's your team of the week?
Context of the season, and I think in terms of how the season will finish and whether this team will stay up or not, I have to go for Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace. Well done, Crystal Palace and Pardew for that turnaround. So join us after this break where we'll continue looking at the highs and lows of the past week.